If you're a real estate agent and you're making $100,000 a year or more, and you're trying to scale up to that next level, then you're not going to be able to do it unless you have these 6 business principles in place. Now, I want to thank my mentor, Don Miller, and his awesome company at Business Made Simple to really show people how to grow their business and put these simple frameworks in play. And this is what I'm going to be going over today so that you guys can get a sense of what it is that makes a small business run itself and how you can use it and make sure all the parts are running in tandem together so that they function as a unit to help you grow your business to that next level. The first thing that we're going to have to talk about is the analogy, right? You might have seen this in my previous videos that you have this nice little portrait that I received from Don Miller's BMS, and it's a very nice picture to put in my wall, but it actually has some meaning to it. The first part of this is we're going to have to look at the cockpit. And the way it's explained in this simple picture is that a business is run similarly to how an airplane is put together. And in each component of the airplane correlates to how a business is functioning. And without being able to properly manage each section and each singular system, what tends to happen is our plane will not be able to fly, and simultaneously our business will not be able to go very far. So let me break down exactly the 6 parts of what makes a business and how you can use it in your real estate business to become a top selling agent in your area, okay? So the first part, as I was starting to say, was the leadership part of this whole plane, and that's the cockpit. Now, it's important to note that without any direction, your plane is not gonna go anywhere. Likelihood, your business is not gonna go anywhere. If you think about it as whenever a pilot is about to take off and they're going to a destination, they set in their coordinates into the airplane, into their GPS before they take off, so they know exactly where they're going, how long it's going to take them to get there, and if anything does happen, how to rearrange and redirect the course to hit their goals. The same thing applies for your real estate business. It's important to understand that if you don't clearly identify the goals and the directions of your business from the get-go, how are you going to know when you've achieved your goals, or how are you going to make any adjustments when things aren't going right? Okay. And that's why when you're having a leadership position, you might be a solopreneur in your business as a real estate agent, right? Tend to be by yourselves often until you start really wanting to ramp things up. You want to build a team. You have to get virtual assistants. You've got to get other agents on your team. And this is when you really start to scale. And it's important whether you're a solo agent or if you're building and trying to scale with a team under you. Things change a little bit, but the message of the leadership still stays strong whether you're by yourself or with a bunch of people. Let's go on to the second part of this whole airplane here, which is the marketing and the right engine. If you don't have your engines in place, you have the right and left engine, you have the marketing and sales as the right and left engine. And in order for your business to continuously move forward and fly far and fast, you're going to have a good sales system and you're going to have a good marketing system in place. And likelihood one of your engines on your plane isn't running efficiently or is out completely, what happens to your plane when it's in the sky? I probably guarantee that you're not going to want to be on that plane, right? Because what's going to happen is that you're going to be going down and your business is going to go down fast. And we need to make sure that both systems are operating independently, but together to make sure that you're pushing your business forward and that plane is flying at no limit, okay? Next, we're going to go into the wings of the airplane. These are your products. Now, I know as a real estate agent, we tend to be like, well, I'm not a service. We service people. We help sell homes and put people into investment properties and commercial buildings. I get it. But this is actually one aspect that I like to show agents, that you can put products into your business and sell products alongside your servicing and helping homeowners and investors get into these properties that they want to get into, okay? So we got to make sure that the products that we're selling or the services that we were delivering are top notch. And we got to make sure that that is from top to bottom, how we first meet a contact to the end when we're finished closing that deal and shaking hands at the notary or the closing office. We got to make sure that that whole process is from A to Z streamlined and super smooth and easy for the client to have. Next, we're going to go into the cash flow, which is the fuel tanks of your plane. Now, you know just as well as I do, if a plane doesn't have any gas in it, any fuel in it, it's not going to go anywhere. Same thing for your business. If you're flying, let's say from a 6-hour flight from wherever you are in the world, but you're taking a 6-hour flight and you end up having, your pilot says, sorry guys, we're running on E. Well, you're going to hope that there's an airport really close to where you are at that time. And if you don't, it's going to be a terrible time for everybody on board, and I hope that doesn't happen to you. But the same thing applies for your business. Absolutely same thing. Think about it this way. If you have employees that work for you, if you have a team as an agent, you have a growing team, members under you, you have softwares that you're using, people that you're outsourcing and servicing as well that are in tandem on your team members, that you're helping, maybe affiliates or partnerships with and whatnot, and God forbid something happens to you. What are you going to do? So God forbid something happens, you're sick or you hurt yourself or you're out of commission for whatever reason, like the pandemic came in a couple of years ago, something happens where everything stops for you in your world. You got to make sure that you have enough cash and fuel in the reserve that you can service anybody in your business and pay whoever needs to be paid on the payroll, your employees, your marketing dollars, your marketing firm, anybody that is an expense in your business has to run as if you were there for at least a 6-month period of time. Because what tends to happen is if you only have 1 month reserve funds and you think, hey, that's enough for me. 1 month is fine. I don't need that extra cash. If something happens where you have to stay out of commission longer than a month, you want to be able to make sure that your business continues running as it should without you there. You want to be able to continue paying everybody and not worry about all that payroll and all that stuff that you have to continue making payments on, whether you're there or you're not, for at least 6 months. This gives you enough time to reaffirm what's happening in your life, to readjust and prioritize and cut and make that proper pivot and adjustment to get back on that bandwagon, without being stressed of I'm in a hospital bed or, a family member I have to take care of and I can't do anything. Now I'm stressed because no money's coming in from my business. So super important. I took a little bit of time on that because it's super important, and people think that just because you have cash flow is great, but you got to think about having reserves as well. Okay, so that's the cash flow and the fuel tanks part of the airplane. Now let's move on to the body, the overhead, the operations. This is where your employees come into play. Now, if the fuel lodge and the overhead is too heavy of your plane's not going to have enough lift, and it's going to just drag it all the way down. If you have too many employees, you have too much money and too much expenses going out left and right, you got to trim that down, and you got to be very, very vigilant on what's happening with all of your employees that you're paying or anything or any services that you're using to run your business, and see if really that's the most efficient way of doing it. And if you can reduce the amount of overhead and still run your business while your plane is going to be that much lighter, your business is going to be that much lighter, you're going to be able to soar for a longer and further period of time. So those are essentially the 6. Oh, I forgot one. Here we go into sales, right? I spoke to them in tandem with marketing. They do work simultaneously together. One kind of goes hand in hand with the other, but someone can have a really good marketing system, right? You're able to get leads engaged. You have your good social media presence. You know how to market effectively and communicate well with your audience. And you're doing all the right things to get visitors and clients and potential clients to the door. Now they're knocking on the door, and you have to go into the second part here and make sure that you know how to sell. This becomes a part where it's kind of, you're like, oh, well, as long as I get clients coming through the door, it should be no problem. The way I like to image this is picture like a pipeline, and a pipe like with water in it, and it's going down to your drain. Let's just say it's going from your sink in your bathroom to all the way to the main drain. Now, if you have, it's supposed to be the same size and the same width all the way down, right, to the drain. But let's say you have a really good marketing system and it's really wide at the beginning. You have a lot of space for a lot of water to come in, no problem, the water's free flowing in. But let's say a little bit down pipe, you got a bit of some cloggage, some blockage that you didn't know about, and that's where your sales are, and the water's not really passing. It's only at half of the width. So you're going to have an obstruction there, and the water is really not going to flow well. You might have some backup, and it's just not going to be flowing the way you want to. You might have some smells coming through. You can have a problem, and you're not going to be realizing, you're like, well, the water is really going down well at this part, but upstream or downstream, there's a bigger blockage, and you got to fix that. And the same thing goes with your sales. If you have a good marketing system and you're getting a lot of people in the door, well, you got to make sure that everything in this part where you're selling to them, you got to be able to convert them into actual paying clients that actually want to sign on board with you. They want to buy any of your products or services. They really want to engage with your brand or your service. So those are the 6 major parts of a business. If you can master them, put into effect that you have to think about them as each individual systems of your business. And each one has an equal part to play in making sure the business as its own, as a whole, is really able to fly far and fast and become really profitable for you in the long run. And at one point, if any of these are lacking, you get to be aware that, oh, that system isn't working properly, and make adjustments as you go along. So this is my system that I've been able to fortunately learn with Don Miller Miller in his book, How to Grow Your Small Business. I've been able to implement it in my business. And I use these frameworks in each of these systems of the airplane or your business to help them grow further and faster. And in real estate, this is a really crucial factor to make sure that differentiates the people between making $100,000 a year to the people wanting to scale up to past 7 figures. Now, if you can get these down packed, I guarantee you're going to fly far and fast. And if you want a free consultation, I encourage you to click in the link below. You can book your free consultation with me and we can go over these 6 parts in your business and see where it's actually being clogged up if there's a problem. This is absolutely free, so click in the link below, get your free consultation. We'll go over this. I'll help you out, no problem.